Okay. So till the 15th, we saw that Krishna was saying that there are certain kinds of people who don't come to him. Right? If you remember in the 15th, he said there are certain kinds of people, and he described there are four kinds of people. Namam dushkrutino moodhaha prapadyante naradhamaha Mayaya pahrita jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. So there are four kinds of people who don't come to me or don't go in search of inner exploration. Don't do those who don't, either they're not drawn to it or they're so engaged in the external material world, that so engaged that they don't know that there is a direction to go inwards. Yeah, there are, so we come across people like that, right? We come across people who it's very hard for us to even engage in a communication with them which relates to something higher than the material. In fact, I had one colleague in the office. He said um, he has seen a lot of these things, these prayers and puja and yoga, meditation, and all that. He's seen in his family, people doing and all that. And then I told him, "Did you try meditation?" He said, "Yeah, I tried." But the way he was uh, expecting, the expectation that he had set with it is, he's saying that if I'm irritated, if I do meditation now, then the result should be immediate. So essentially, the results that he was expecting out of doing some of these activities like sadhana was immediate. So I said, you won't get immediate results. Anything good that grows on you, noble virtues that grow on you, it takes time for it to grow. Even as much as a plant takes time to grow from a seed, or a flower starts to blossom from a plant, it takes certain amount of time. You need to be with some of these things, because enough people have said valuable things about this and they have found value. We should be able to spend that much amount of time with it, and then you possibly see some benefits. But then the person was, I don't have so much time. Right? So then how will you see the benefit? It's like a catch 22 situation, right? He says, I want to do this and I should see results. I don't see results. But to see results, you should do it patiently enough for enough amount of time. But I don't have time to do so much. So then how will you see the results? And so then they don't take up to some of these things of inner exploration. And but when age grows on them, slowly they will come to a point when they will realize, when they are faced with their own fears, anxieties, depressions, unhappiness, lack of fulfillment, dissatisfaction, when they come face to face, that is when they start breaking down. That is when they don't know how to deal with themselves, because now suddenly they're left with themselves. There's no work, they don't have work, they don't have all the high position, nobody listening to them. Even at home, the maybe the velakaran will also not listen to him. Right? Even the helper may not listen to him. So he lost certain amount of power, some authority, and that is when you'll come face to face with these things. And so we see such people come to this realization at a later stage in life. And if they have enough grace, they may be able to pick up soon from there. But if not, then they find them very sad. So Krishna is saying that such people are there, that it's difficult for them to acknowledge and understand that there is a possibility to go inwards. But at the same time, he's saying there are people who also have the ability to turn inwards. So there are four kinds of people, he says, right? He says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam janaha sukritinaha arjuna. Artha, those who are distressed. Artha. Jignasu, those who are seeking. Jignasu. Jnatum ichchati jignasu. Kalpaka is there, I think. Jnatum.
ತದ್ದಿದಂತಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ
Tadhida.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಜಿಜ್ಞಾಸ
Sorry?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ எனக்கு தெரியல வாட் ஃபார்ம் இட் வாஸ் நான் யோசனை பண்ணேன்.
Oh, this is like saying
ஞாசாஸ்.
Vishesha Jnanam Vijnanam.
ம்.
This is a particular samasa. You can look up. It's a samasa. Jnatum ichchati jignasu. So jignasu is somebody who is wanting to seek knowledge. Then artharthi, the ones who are seeking material gains. And the fourth one are jnani, those who are already established in the knowledge that aham brahmasmi. Okay. Now, interestingly, you will see an overlap here. Overlap with people who don't seek me. There are people who don't seek me. There also you find material people, those who are in material desires, they don't seek in the 15th verse. But here he's saying those who are seeking material gains seek me. Which means the same desire, when you want material desire, depending on, it is also very important the kind of environment we are exposed to. If you are exposed to an environment where you say that if I pray, I will get. If I pray to Krishna, Rama, Devi, Mahalakshmi, Saraswati, Ganapati, I pray to them, I will get my desire fulfilled. If you have been brought up in that environment, or I pray to some supreme power, I pray to Jesus Christ, I pray to the Quran, I sit and pray in front of Allah, I pray to the Torah, right? Judaism. The sitting and praying, this praying as an attitude, if it is developed within us in our environment from childhood, then there is a possibility that for my material desires, I will pray. Otherwise, I will not even know that I should pray. I will only figure out what all I should do to get my material desires fulfilled. See, prayer that way is a very beautiful thing because it allows you to open your arms in receiving when you are helpless. Right? Most people you will see in more desperate situations, they'll pray out loud. They will pray with a lot of fervor and energy. அப்பதான் மைண்ட்ல வந்து எப்படியோ என்ன வெள்ளியங்கிரில இருந்து இறக்கி விட்டுரு பெருமாளே, உனக்கு 108 தேங்காய் உடைச்சிடுறேன். மைண்ட்ல that is exactly when all of this Ariyom Saujima Ariyom
Guruji.
Wait, don't get on. I'll come and know.
Ariyom Kanna.
இந்த கிராஸ் ரோட்ல இருந்தா கூட போயிட்டே இருப்போம். when you meet a dead end இல்ல, அப்பதான் ஞானம் வரும், பகவான் ஞாபகம் வரும், எல்லாமே வரும். அந்த டெட் எண்ட் தான்.
That is the distressed. Exactly. So when you hit that and you cry out loud, but you should have the exposure from childhood that you can cry out to some higher power. Otherwise, we will essentially go to a psychiatrist. We will go to we'll seek medical help or some.
They have an Are You Okay Day in Australia. So ஒருத்தர் எல்லாரும் கேட்டுப்பா Are you okay? Are you okay?
No, sir.
ஏன்னா ஒருத்தன் வந்து ஐ எம் ஆக்சுவலி நாட் ஓகே, லெட் மீ டெல் யூ அப்படின்னு ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணான்னா முடிஞ்சது.
அவ்வளவுதான், ஆபீஸ் போற வழியில எதுக்குடா கேட்டோம்.
So they will never ask again. So distressed. When you're distressed, you naturally call out. But again, not all people who are distressed call out. We should have that grace, that remembrance should come that there is a power greater than me that I should call out to for help. Right? Then you have artharthi. Artharthi is those who are material gain. They want things. They're wanting to achieve material gain in terms of possessions, in terms of property, in terms of wealth, in terms of people, in terms of name, fame, all of that, they also reach out to God. Again, there must be some background introduction in their lives in some form of grace. Either somebody passing by, even if their families don't have this culture, somebody passing by would have told, hey, see this Shirdi Baba's book, read this. Sai Satcharita, 7 weeks every Thursday. Something like that. Somebody will say, and then he will do it, and something will work for him. And then his faith and belief will develop. A lot of people, it's like that. They are not introduced, but somebody suddenly, and that is grace. Avan Arulal, Avan Tal Vanangi, அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவா தமிழ்ல. There is this Tiruvachakam, which means by his grace, I bow down to him. So bowing down to him has to happen. If it has to happen, will only happen with his grace only. There must be some grace, element of grace that is operating for us to think about him. Then Jnani. Of course, Jignasu and Jnani. So Jignasu, those who are seeking knowledge, obviously they will seek out to Bhagavan or Brahman or that truth. And Jnani. Jnani, those who are established, will always be thinking about him because they are established in him. And the next 2 shlokas or 2 verses, he talks about Jnani. 2 or 3 verses, he talks about a Jnani. Right? He says, how is a Jnani? Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukta. Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate. Steadfast all the time. Eka Bhakti, which means in exclusive devotion. Urumughama, like the horse has the side blinds. So like that, without wavering, without any, this is called as dharana. In the Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, the 7th one is dharana. No, the 6th one, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Dharana is unbroken, complete contemplation on the object of meditation. So one who is there with Eka Bhakti. Now here devotion is also there. There's not only contemplation, there is devotion. Is devoted. This person is Tesham, the Jnani who is the one who is established in this understanding, Nitya Yukta, steadfast in his bhakti, Vishishyate. He is extremely superior. Priyohi jnaninaha atyartham. So he is considered to be the one who is established in knowledge. Jnaninaha, so such a person is priyahi. He is dear to me, and I am dear to him. Aham saha cha mama priyaha. So such a person is dear to me, and I am dear to such a person. Who is this person? Who is constantly established in Eka Bhakti, in exclusive devotion to me. See, when can Eka Bhakti happen? Eka Bhakti can happen when your mind is not actually seeking anything. When your mind is constantly seeking something, you may not establish in Eka Bhakti. Why? Because see, we somehow misinterpret the word bhakti with the artha-arthi that was mentioned in the previous verse. Artha-arthi is somebody who is asking, give me this, give me that, whatever. You're asking for health, you're asking for wealth, you're asking for property, you're asking for progeny. Vitteshana, Putreshana, Lokeshana. The 3 kinds of eshanas that are there, or desires. Whichever one you ask, you're asking something or the other. So when you're doing that, we do that with a lot of devotion. மரத்தை சுத்தி ஒரு பெரிய கயிறு எடுத்துன்னு போய் மரத்தை சுத்துன்னு சுத்துவோம். பெரிய கயிறு எடுத்துட்டு And then at the end of it, we'll think that that is going to give me fulfill my desire. When somebody says, go and hit your head against that wall 5 times, we will do that. All of that. We will do several things and we will think this is bhakti. I'll say, I am a bhakti man. I'm devoted. I'm very devotional. I'm very spiritual. all of these terms also you'll hear people will call themselves, right? Every Thursdays I will go to the temple. Every Fridays I will do this. All of this will be there. But if you, those who have seen this movie Three Idiots, if you remember that character, the third character was so afraid that he will put or a tayat he'll put like 7-8 threads around his wrist, and then he'll put one ring for every finger, and then he'll put several malas because he's afraid.
Fear is the reason.
Fear is the cause. All out of fear. What if my father dies? What if my mother becomes like this? What if my sister doesn't get married? What if I fail the exam? What if I don't get a job? What if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't happen? So out of fear we do all this, and we somehow in our minds think it is bhakti. Krishna is not talking about that bhakti here. Krishna is talking about Eka Bhakti, and this Eka Bhakti can happen when we have that kind of bhakti which is driven out of fear. We will go from one to the other. It will not be Eka Bhakti. Correct? After 10 years, Krishna has not given me anything. I am exactly in the same position I started praying Krishna 10 years ago. Then I will switch. Let me see what Muruga does for me. Then we will switch. Why? Because the Ashanas, the desires are not getting fulfilled from that direction. So we will keep doing this. When this happens, there is no Eka Bhakti. But when Eka Bhakti is there, it will be like Radha or Meera. Absolutely no one else. Ekameva Advitiyam. That one is alone there. Nothing else is there. He alone is. Kabir, there is a Kabir Doha. I remember saying this once. Maybe I'll try to say that. जब हरि है नहीं, जब मैं हूं हरि नहीं, जब हरि है मैं नहीं. When I am there, the Lord is not there because this I is there constantly. But when the Lord is there, I am not there. I don't exist. Because what exists is only Him. Only He exists. Eka Bhakti. This is the state of consciousness of a jnani who is established in that. So Bhagavan is saying, such a person, I love him, he loves me. I am dear to him, he is dear to me. Then he says, Udara sarva etaite jnani vatmaiva me matam asitasya hi yuktatma mamevanuttamam gatim. Just such people. Now, so again, he's actually establishing that point. He's saying that just by this devotion, it will not happen. You have to establish your intellect in me. That is why this devotion is a very tricky thing. And if you notice, devotion catches up very quickly. You can start getting devoted very quickly. But will your intellect be established in it? That is doubtful. Which means if somebody says, oh, he's a Mahan, he's great, he's this, he's that, all of that he'll say, devotion can immediately very quickly build. And you'll start becoming devoted and you'll think things will happen in your life. Again, the focus of devotion is not that person. If you look at it, when your devotion is actually for yourself only. You're devoted to your fulfillment of your own desires. It's a very tricky thing. What are you devoted to is the question we ask ourselves. Are we devoted really to the Ishta, to Bhagavan, or whatever we hold the highest? Or am I devoted to my desires? And you look at it, keenly, you will see most of the times, like when we go and pray or we ask, it's essentially devoted to our own desires. So where is your intellect established? You're devoted. You say we devote my time to going and doing. I go to the temple. I do this, that, and the other. But where is my intellect established? So my devotion is there, but then intellect also has to be established. The mind also has to be established in that. Astitaha. Astita means to be established, to be situated. So he is qualifying further. Krishna is qualifying further and further to say that you have to be very careful when you're dealing with devotion. See, which is why you see this whole Bhakti Vedanta movement. Bhakti movement is very easy to catch on. See, if you go on the streets, of course, a lot of people, it's very beautiful. You see people, ISKCON singing Radhe Krishna, Krishna, Krishna on the streets. It's very quickly you will get glued to it. Harinama, Sankirtana. Wherever there is Sankirtana happening, Tennangur, there's this beautiful Panduranga temple in Tennangur. To go there and it's brilliant. Haridosgiri's lineage, Haridosgiri's disciples and all, they do Nama Sankirtanam there. Swami Haridosgiri. So beautiful. You sit there and you'll just be blissed out singing Harinam Sankirtanam. Devotion that way, it's easy. But then at the end of it, we ask, okay, now I've devoted so much time. Now what do I get in return? What do I get? This is how the mind operates. Can we think that I shed a tear in devotion? That is fulfillment. Can we see it that way? And that is what he is saying. A mind is established. My mind is established in Bhagavan. And when that is happening, then the devotion makes sense. Then the devotion is Eka Bhakti. And then such a devotee or such a disciple or such a student is greatest. சொல்லுங்க மாமா.
டிவோஷன்ல வந்து ஒரு டிவோஷன் வந்து ஒரு அட்டாச்மெண்ட் இல்லாம இருக்கும் இல்லையா? ஒன்லி அட்டாச்மெண்ட் which will have is only பகவான். நார்மலி என்ன ஆயிடுறது, நம்ம வந்து பகவானே எனக்கு அந்த வீடு வாங்கணும் அப்படின்ட்டு அட்டாச்மெண்ட் இஸ் அந்த வீடு, நாட் அந்த பகவான். ஸோ அதுல வந்து அந்த அந்த நீங்க சொல்ற பக்தியை வந்து கிடையாது இல்லையா?
அதுல வராது. Because
வராது.
that devotion is to yourself. It's to your own desire.
It is an for an object, external object attachment to it. It is not on Bhagavan, இல்லையா? See, பகவான் மேல it is அங்க வந்து without attachment and selfless ஆயிடுறது.
Selfless, one, it is selfless. The other is, what happens to me doesn't even arise. The thought doesn't arise. My joy is just thinking about him. See, a lot of times when we notice, when we go to, again, Nama Sankirtanam, when we sit there, if you are troubled in life, you will weep. When the bhajana goes, the Sankirtanam goes, and it will all be there. When you're troubled in life, you will weep. Right? That weeping, we just have to observe a little bit. That weeping comes from the suffering and difficulty that you're going through. That weeping is because ஐயோ நான் இவ்வளோ கஷ்டப்படுறேனே, ஐயோ இவ்வளோ கஷ்டமா எனக்கு, ஐயோ எனக்கு இவ்வளோ கஷ்டமா இருந்தது. அந்த weeping அங்கேருந்து வரும். But there is a different kind of a weeping that occurs. There is a viraha, there is a feeling of viraha that in Gita Govinda, Radha Krishna, Jayadeva expresses that feeling of viraha, that, oh Lord, oh God, I have not been able to think of you all the time. I am not able to think of you all the time னு சொல்லி ஒரு அழுக வரும். எனக்கு உன்னை பத்தி full time நினைக்க முடியலையே. I am not able to spend all my life's energy in your sadhana, all my time in your bhakti, in thinking about you, reading about you, listening to you. I am not able to do this. Thinking that there will be a weeping that will come. That is different. That is really a yearning from the soul. That viraha is the word that's in Sanskrit means separation. That your soul is yearning for that being in union with the divine. And when that doesn't occur, when that occurs, it's a very different kind of weeping. You will be weeping in complete isolation. Nobody is there, no one is there, you'll weep. But when you come out of that weeping, you'll feel rejuvenated. It'll be very refreshing. I'd say Nama Sankirtanam and all that is very, very, very beautiful energies that gets built there. Those who get the opportunity we should go and be part of that. That we just sing in complete visualization of Krishna, Rama, Hanuman, whatever that Sankirtanam is happening on. In that visualization and thinking that, I'm not able to spend so much. The joy of this is so beautiful, I'm not able to spend more joyful time like this. That gives, and also sometimes there is this tears that will flow just out of joy. That I am so blessed. See, my Guru sings one song, Enna Punniyam Cheidomo Sadguru Natha Un Arul Kadaikave Enna Punniyam Cheidono. So that sometimes that will also occur. That you will have tears thinking that, what blessings, what grace. Iniki இந்த இடத்துல இது மாதிரி ஒரு சத்சங்கம் கிடைச்சா I'm able to sing and listen to his glories. What a grace. This is real bhakti. This is real devotion. We should be able to differentiate that within us. When we differentiate, then we know which direction to move in. Then we know that the rest of the weeping and the yearning and seeking that I want this, all that is also there. Maybe you do that. You have a communication with God. But this is pure. This is the true yearning of the soul. Because every individual is wanting to join back, is wanting to be one with. Every soul's desire is that. Every soul doesn't ask for எனக்கு ஒரு வீடு வேணும், ஒரு கார் வேணும், ஒரு 4 பசங்க வேணும், எனக்கு ஒரு பெரிய இது வேணும். No. Every soul is yearning for liberation. Naturally. For moksha, for liberation, for union. So when that comes from the soul, the weeping, the crying comes from the soul, we should be able to recognize that. That is the bhakti Bhagavan is talking about. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Jnanavan mam prapadyate. Yes, Mama?
The Radha's devotion to Krishna. அது எங்க குருஜி? இதுல பிருந்தாவன்ல தானே பார்க்க போறோம். அது பிருந்தாவனா மதுரா இல்லையா? அது
பிருந்தாவன்ல.
பிருந்தாவன்ல.
ஆமா, பிருந்தாவன்ல தான் the whole ராதா கிருஷ்ணா லீலா எல்லாம் இருந்தது. It is all in Vrindavan. It is all in Vrindavan. In fact, I don't know
நினைச்சாக்கா
if kind of Kalpaka knows any Ashtapadis, it will be beautiful. Ashtapadi எல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சதுன்னா, in fact, Shivakumar Mama is coming along with us in the yatra. So he has learned Ashtapadis, Gita Govinda. So, and I'll also bring my book. Now I've written the meditations on Gita Govinda. I've written one book. I published a book. Maybe we'll read a couple of chapters from there.
Wonderful. Okay.
That is where it occurred. In Vrindavan only the whole Radha Krishna Leela and all that happened. And
we should be able to get that impression of the devotion.
Amma. And the இடத்துல எல்லாம் correct. That place is filled with that love for Krishna and the devotion. In fact, it is said, we went to Uttarkashi. The Shivananda Ashram president there spoke to us and he said 3 things in this world are not of this world. 3 things in this world are not of this world. One is the water of Ganga Jal. He says it's ethereal. It's got some quality which is not necessarily made of the material of this world. Enamo onnu irukku adula. Ganga Jal. Second, he said, was the bhog that is given in Jagannath Puri. in Jagannath Puri, Puri Jagannath, there is this bhog, Chappan bhog, there are 56 different delicacies that are offered to Jagannath, Lord Jagannath, every day, several times in a day. That you can look up the internet, YouTube, very, very, very interesting things about that.
Quantity the quantity they make will be different each day, and our பண்ற quantity அளவுக்கு தான் பக்தர்களும் வருவாளாம்.
That number of people will come. It'll never be more or less, exactly that
Less.
much.
Correct.
And again, the way they cook it also, it's very beautiful. There's descriptions about it. So President Swami said that that's the second thing, is not of this world. There's something ethereal to it. Third thing, he says, the Renu of Vrindavan. Renu means sand or dust of Vrindavan.
I have seen one CEO of a company coming with a secretary. வந்தோடனே விருந்தானம் வந்தோடனே காது திரும்புன்றார். திரும்பி போயிட்டு விருந்தானம் போயிட்டு he took off everything. He just rolled on the sand. He said, "This is Vrindavan. How can you go without this, rolling on the sand?"
Exactly. So that President Swami said, very interesting. So the President Swami said that this is the third thing. The Renu or the dust of Vrindavan is considered to be not of this world, because Krishna is, his energies are deposited there in some way. So that is the beauty of that devotion. Now he says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma sudurlabha. Such a mahatma is very difficult to find. Who? The one who says Vasudeva sarvam iti. This Vasudeva is everything. Krishna is everything. Narayana is everything. Bhagavan is everything. Such a Mahatma is very rare to find. Why? Because it takes them several lifetimes of spiritual practices and spiritual sadhana, whatever they do, for several lifetimes. Bahunam janmanamante. After many, many births of spiritual practice, one is endowed with this understanding and knowledge, bhakti, jnanam. He mam prapadyate. He comes unto me, surrenders to me, sharanagati. He offers himself in devotion to me. And such a one is rare to find. And then 20th he says, so this one he says, kamaihi taihi hritagnyanaha. Kamais tair hritagnyanaha. Which means different people whose knowledge, or you go and establish yourself to different gods for different desires. Such people attain to those gods, or they attain some material desires that they seek for. What it means to say is, and then he says that there are devatas that are there for every type of person. In fact, those who have heard of this term, 33 crore gods. Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism has 33 crore gods. 33 crore in Sanskritam, it is koti. 33 koti. Koti doesn't necessarily mean crore. Koti means categories. There are 33 categories of gods. Ashtavasus, Ekadasha Rudras, Dwadasha Adityas, and so on and so forth. So you total them, there will be 33. But there's another way to look at it, is there are 30, when this statement was made, apparently the population in Bharata Bhumi was 33 crores. So it was to say that every individual was a god. Right? Everyone was a god. Now we are 120, 130 crores. That's a different story. But then at that time, 33 crores. That is one way of looking at it. What it means, every individual, we are composed uniquely. We are different in our composition, in our mental, physical composition, and energy composition. We are very different. So what we seek is also different. So you say that according to what you seek, you will get attracted to that God. right? If I'm seeking a particular, and you know these stories about tantrikas, how do they do that? They invoke different devis and devatas and all of that. For what? To fulfill certain specific desires. Very specific desires that can be fulfilled by invoking certain energies. So Krishna says that each individual goes through this depending on their nature, following their own nature. They worship the devatas, practicing rituals that are required to propitiate them, to receive them, right? But then next he'll go to say is my devotee comes to me, which means the one who seeks the supreme truth, who does not get distracted. My Guruji will say, if you're trying to go to Lalita Tripura Sundari, நடுவுல நிறைய சொப்பு கொடுப்பாங்களாம் விளையாடுறதுக்கு. Those who understand this term, choppu. Choppu is all those small toy things to play with. They're like when you're kids, you would have a toy kitchen, you'll have a toy garden, you'll have a toy whatever, right? Your house and all that. So that's called as choppu. And then kids will, in fact, I remember my brother's son, every day he'll sit and no, my sister's son, he will sit and he'll say, okay, today I'm going to make upma. Okay, there'll be a small cooker, and then a small tawa, a small gas like thing. There'll be one cylinder. He'll say, I'll make upma, something like that he'll do, and then he'll give upma. But in his mind, he's having fun. He's making some food. Obviously, he knows he's not allowed to the real kitchen. So this visualization game he'll get, and it's so enchanting for the child. It's enchanting. It is. That is why the first, even in Sri Chakra Upasana, Sri Vidya Upasana, the first chakra is called as Trailokya Mohana Chakra Swamini. Trailokya Mohana. She is the enchantress of all the three worlds. Trailokya Mohini. I mean, you can get caught up there. So he says, Bhagavan says that you can get caught up. Like you can get caught, oh, this is so beautiful, oh, this is so nice, oh, suddenly some people will come and say, oh, nobody to sing like you, and then they'll throw you up on a stage and they will run away, and then you'll be facing a crowd figuring out what to do. So the people, suddenly you'll get a lot of attraction, you'll get this thing, you'll get some things will come into your life, some people will come into your life. All of that will happen, but do you want to get distracted? Suddenly wealth will also come. Required to run your life. As we always discussed, material wealth, prosperity, comfort is required. For what? For sadhana. Do I get enough comfort so that I can do my sadhana? What we do now, we get comfort, we just sink into the comfort. Right? The problem is then you're essentially just giving into your bodily and then mental and your physical desires. If I use, oh, I get this much time now. Oh, this weekend I got time. Let me spend some time on inner exploration. Let me read. Let me do swadhyaya. Let me do dhyanam. Let me spend some time in doing some kind of breathing, some kind of japa. Suddenly this, somehow office life got this time off now. Let me put some time towards this. This is important. This mental attitude, if you start building that, slowly it will seep into the day. Oh, now I got 30 minutes break. Let me take a little break. What do you do during the break? You can go do whatever, but there is also a possibility you can sit there and do dhyana. Close your eyes and practice that. This will slowly, as it seeps into our daily life, then the need to go seeking out all of these things beyond what you actually need. This is why we always say, right? The differentiation between need and want. We'll never know the difference. When we start practicing, we will know that is my need becoming my want. Because if I can be in this situation, if I can be in this much of a chair, comfortable, why do I need a 6-seater sofa? Right? Just giving an example. Of course, we need 6-seater sofas so that guests come and you can use that for that. But then we should understand it's for that purpose. For me, this is sufficient. There's an idea of minimalism that people talk about, right? So it's in this context we should try to bring it in. That the more I make myself comfortable, the more time and ability I get to do my sadhana, swadhyaya, my discourse, my upanyasa, my reading, my japa. This is the whole idea. So here he is saying those who get drawn to he is indicating as celestial gods mean there are different deities. I can do Agni Upasana. I can do Vayu Upasana. I want to be strong like Vayu Bhagavan. What do you do at the end of the day becoming strong like Vayu Bhagavan? There is one other story. Interestingly, today Paramahamsa Gurudev Paramahamsa Yogananda Samadhi Day. Today. So it's a very auspicious day. There's one story he talks.
பெரியவாரோட ஜெயந்தி
Edu Mama?
பாலபெரியவாரோட ஜெயந்தி அன்னைக்கு
Mahaperivada.
பாலபெரியவாரோட ஜெயந்தி பாலபெரியவா
Ah,
விஜேந்திர சார்
present
okay.
the present Guru Shankaracharya.
Avarda. Oh, lovely, lovely. Very nice. So, Gurudev said one story where there is a person who wanted to learn. We know the story, right? He's I think this is a very popular story. He said that he makes his body so strong that nothing can, no metal or no sword can cut him. So his body and Vajra Madri will make it like Vajra, so strong. He'll spend years of sadhana just doing that, right? And then he say, bring me something, I will just break it, something like that, make his body so strong. And then one Mahatma will come by and then he will challenge, this guy will challenge the Mahatma, saying that, can you do this? You talk about yourself as a great jnani. You know, I have trained myself, you throw a rock at me, I can break a rock. And the Mahatma said, why do I need you for that? I have a hammer at home. I'll come and bring the hammer and I'll break the rock. Why do I need to spend 20 years to do this? There's another guy who learns to walk on water. Spends many, many years walking, trying to practice the art of walking on water. And similarly, another Mahatma, why I can give 5 rupees to the ferry guy. He can take me across. Why do I need to spend so many years learning this? These are skills. So what is the point? At the end of the day, your mind is still petty. Our minds are still petty. We still think about myself, selfish desires. My mind is not opened up. I haven't surrendered myself to anything greater. I'm still looking for, whether you look for desire look for name and fame in the small things that we do, or we achieve great things. It's end of the day, it's the same thing. We're still stuck in that same pattern. Even in the spiritual field, it's very important to recognize. It's very important to recognize that when we are into spirituality, this is a lot of times we also get stuck into, there is materialism in spirituality. You have to be very careful and observant of this. There is materialism in spirituality. People say that, I go to this guru, I go to that guru, I belong to this organization. I do every day I read Bhagavad Gita, every day I do this, and that also kind of creates this thing about ourselves. Saying I'm better than that person because I do more spiritual things, right? Spiritual. These are also, see, very, very interesting, right? How our mind is very clever in trapping us all the time. Trapping. And you have to cut off the noise. You have to keep cutting off. I just have to keep doing what I need to do. I just have to keep doing what I need to do. I just surrender to the Lord. Because the people who say that, oh, super pandra, the same people will come and say, ayye, idu kuda theriliya avarukku. Right? Same people will come and say. So, Bhagavan says, if your desires are there, you keep going there, and that is what you attract, that is what you'll keep getting. Next week, we will see where Bhagavan goes to say that one who comes to me, I completely offer myself to him. And that is what we want, right? When we are unconditional, then what we will get in return is unconditional.
The I-ness, we have to leave that I-ness.
Correct. And
The
that
I
is,
portion,
the I is materialism. That I is materialism.
நான் இதை சாதனை பண்றேன், நான் இதை பண்றேன். இந்த நான் வரும்போதே
Correct.
அவ்வளவுதான்.
Somebody asked Buddha, I forget this. It's a very beautiful line. Somebody asked Buddha, I said, I desire freedom. What should I do? Then he said, drop the desire and the I. What remains is freedom. It's an interesting way of using the words there. But of course, doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't desire freedom. That is the thing we should desire, of course. Like Vivekananda says, the only desire that is worth having is the desire for God. Drop every other desire. But it's a way of saying, like Mama said, that I is the thing that associated with the desire, and then somewhere we feel that the fulfillment of that is attributed back to the I, and the I feels even more grand. I desire something, and if the desire seems to be fulfilled, that fulfillment is attributed to the I. The fulfillment doesn't give you freedom. Fulfillment should give us freedom. If fulfillment gives us is attributed back to the I desired this, and that fulfillment I got. If it's attributed to the I, then again it will aggrandize the I, and then I will become bigger. Right? It's a very, very tricky zone.
அந்த இதுல கூட like mind works both ways. It creates a bondage as well as it releases you from bondage.
Correct.
The mind
can do play both.
the
Correct.
it
Absolutely.
can play both.
It can play both. Absolutely true.
அதுதான் அந்த I-ness and the bondage that mind carries, to drop it. அதுதான் இந்த சத்சங். It's a wonderful the சத்சங். நீங்க போன வாரம் சொன்னீங்கல்ல,
Absolutely.
அது யோசிச்சப்ப எதாச்சும் அதை படிக்கும்போது வந்து
Very nice.
சத்சங்கத்வே நிசங்கத்துவம், அந்த
சங்கத்வே நிர்மோகத்வம், நிர்மோகத்வே நிశ్చల தத்துவம், நிశ్చల தத்துவே ஜீவன்.
ஜீவன் முக்தி.
Beautiful. Totally right. And because you reinforce the ideas, and then in satsang, that there are many people like me. There are several people like me who are also in the journey, together traveling in this journey. There's no high, big, low, great, all that. It's just together traveling in this journey, and we're trying to get to that same state of Eka Bhakti. Today's Krishna's message is Eka Bhakti.
We are able to drop our I-ness in the satsang.
Correct.
நம்மளுக்கு அதெல்லாம் விட்டுட்டு we come in a state of
openness. Correct. There's an openness, and there's no mask, or there is no this thing that we carry, so which is very, very beautiful. Very nice. Om Kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayeti samarpayami sadashivayeti samarpayami jagadambikayeti samarpayami sadgurunathayeti samarpayami. Hari Om Tat Sat Gurubhyo Namaha.